When you look at Lucid Motors on paper, you'd think they'd be absolutely crushing it in the luxury EV market. I mean, they've got the money, they've got the brains, they've got the tech. And yet, the company is in what feels like a constant fight just to survive. It's this wild paradox, and we're going to get into it. And that's really the heart of the matter, isn't it? How on earth did a company that makes what pretty much everyone agrees is the best EV out there end up in such a tough spot? Let's break it down. Okay, so before we get into the problems, you have to understand the promise. And let me tell you, the hype around Lucid was absolutely massive. When they first showed up, it really truly felt like the next chapter for EVs had just begun. This quote, man, it just says it all. Lucid cars weren't just another electric car. No, they were the fulfillment of what we were all told an EV could be. We're talking ridiculous range, mind-bending speed, and interiors that were just pure luxury. They were, simply put, the dream. And look, they had all the right pieces. It was like the perfect recipe for success. You've got Peter Rawlinson, the engineering genius who literally led the team for Tesla's Model S. You've got a mountain of cash from a huge IPO and the backing of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, a brand new, state-of-the-art factory in Arizona, and the secret sauce holding it all together, tech that could get you over 500 miles on one charge. I mean, they looked completely unstoppable. But here's the thing. Having a perfect recipe doesn't mean the cake's going to turn out right. Despite all the incredible promise, all the awards, Lucid ran headfirst into the cold, hard wall of actually trying to build cars at scale. And this slide, wow, it just lays bare the massive gap between the hype and the reality. The press was calling them the Tesla killer, but in the real world, they were building cars at the same rate as like Ferrari. They had this world-beating tech, right? But they were losing a crazy amount of money on every single car they sold, and they just kept missing their own production targets over and over again. And if you want a hard number for that failure, it's less than $20,000. That was their annual target in their second year. And years later, they still haven't hit it. It's just a brutal reminder that designing an amazing car is one thing, but mass producing it is a completely different beast. On top of all of that, they had, well, just rotten timing. When they first showed off the Lucid Air sedan back in 2016, people were still buying luxury sedans. It was a solid market. But it took them 5 years to actually launch the car. And by 2021, the world had moved on. Everybody wanted SUVs, and Lucid was stuck with a sedan. So what do you do when you build a car for a market that's kind of disappeared? Well, you build the car the market is actually screaming for. And that brings us to their massive, high-stakes sequel, the Gravity SUV. And this chart? This right here shows you everything you need to know about why the Gravity is such a monumental deal for them. The market for premium SUVs absolutely dwarfs the one for luxury sedans. We're talking potentially 6 times bigger. So the Gravity isn't just some new model, it's their ticket to a much, much bigger game. But of course, in classic Lucid style, the launch was anything but smooth. The Gravity ramp-up got hit by problem after problem. Suppliers weren't ready, there was a magnet shortage, there was even a fire at a key plant, you name it. But the company insists they're finally out of the woods. They say Gravity production has surged and that it's now the main thing rolling off their assembly line. Now, the Gravity is a huge step, but it's not the end game, not even close. To really, truly win, Lucid knows they have to follow a very specific and very well-known playbook. And that playbook? Yeah, it's the one made famous by Tesla. It's a pretty simple 3-step plan, really. Step 1, you launch a super expensive, low-volume car to build your brand. That was the Air. Step 2, you release a slightly more affordable, higher-volume vehicle. That's the Gravity. And then step 3, you take everything you've learned and you pour it all into a car for the masses. And that's the ultimate prize. Lucid's next big project is a car platform that's aiming for a price tag right around $50,000. This is the one. This is the car that could finally take them from being this niche luxury brand to a real mainstream force. But getting there is going to cost a fortune. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, the single biggest threat that could kill this whole dream: money. I mean, building a car company is one of the most expensive things you can do on planet Earth, and Lucid is just burning through cash like crazy. Okay, just take a deep breath and look at this number: $7 billion. That's how much money the company lost between 2022 and 2024. That is an absolutely staggering figure, and it puts an insane amount of pressure on every single move they make. So after all that, what's left in the bank? Well, right now they're sitting on about $5.5 billion. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, right? But when you're burning through it as fast as they are, that cash pile starts to look like a ticking clock. And here it is, the deadline. Based on their current spending, that money will last them until about the middle of 2027. The clock is officially and very loudly ticking. Their plan with the Gravity and that new mass market car, it has to work, and it has to work fast. So, how are they possibly going to survive this? Well, they've got some pretty powerful lifelines. Their main backer, the Saudi PIF, has been incredibly patient. But almost as important is this new deal they've struck with partners like Uber and the self-driving company Nuro. Uber is apparently dropping $300 million and wants to put over 20,000 Gravity robotaxis on the road. Now, that's not just cash. That is a massive thumbs up for Lucid's tech from one of the biggest players in the game. So you take all of this, the amazing technology, the deep pockets, the big plans for the future, and you boil it all down. And it all comes back to one simple but incredibly hard little word: execution. That's the word. See, Lucid has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they can design a world-class car. They've got the brilliant plan, they've got the superior tech, but they have consistently failed at the hard part, actually building their vehicles at scale. Their entire future, everything, now rests on whether or not they can finally learn from their mistakes and just execute. And that's the question I really want to leave you with. Lucid has the perfect playbook to become the next Tesla. They've got the tech, they've got the products lined up, they've got the financial backing. But after years of struggling to turn these brilliant ideas into actual cars in people's driveways, you just have to ask, is a plan really enough?